Hey guys, it's Mark from Erickson Machine and Performance. Today I'm going to show you how to replace reeds on a set of Vforce 3 reeds for a Yamaha 701 62T or 64X, 701 or 760. Also used in all the larger power valve, non-power valve aftermarket engines. So I'm going to show you how to replace the reeds in them. Also show you the difference between the 3s and the 2s, which ones I prefer. So let's get started. Alright guys, so if you could take 1 second, smash the like button, hit the subscribe, please like, share the videos, it's greatly appreciated. It's how the channel grows, so all that's greatly appreciated. So let's go through the differences before we go changing them. So these are the Vforce 2 cages. They've been around for a very long time. Honestly, I prefer these over the 3s. You can still buy the 2s. I'll show you why in a second. And then the Vforce 3s, which these are in the customer's motor that I'm rebuilding right now. And we're going to show you how to replace the pedals. So the big difference between the two is the Vforce 2s are screwed together. So there's screws that hold the main block together. And when you take that apart, there's screws that hold the pedals together. And then a screw that holds the 2 cages together. So, these 4 screws come out, the plate comes off. Forget if there's 2 or 4 screws that hold the 2 cages together, they separate, and then 3 screws on each side to remove the pedal. These are, out of the Vforce reeds, my favorite. The one downside is you have to be gentle when you're putting the screws in. If you try to over tighten them, you're going to strip them. If you strip them, you're going to have to either use epoxy in the hole, stuff like that. It wrecks the reed cages. But when put together properly and serviced right, they're my favorite. Now the Vforce 3s, they went to a pressed together design. So these cages don't use any screws. And I think the reason they went to this is I think people had screws go through the motor, which I don't really understand, because if put together right, it can't happen. So these press together. So Vforce gives you a nice little how-to. They give you a tool to press the cage apart, which I found normally after the engine's been heat cycled a few times, you don't need the tool. And then they show you how to pull the pin that holds the 2 center sections together, and then how to put it back together, which I'll show you shortly. So what comes in the package? So you get the 2 replacement dowels, wedges, that hold the center pedals together. You get the tool to separate the cage if you actually need it, and then the 4 carbon pedals. So the way this tool is supposed to work is you put this in here like this, and it separates the cage. As I was saying, after they've been heat cycled a bunch of times, they just come apart. But when this is clamped with the intake manifold, you're still fine. It's not going to cause an issue. So if this is happening to yours, don't worry about it. You're okay. So when you take that off, the 2 outer pedals come off. And you take a screwdriver, and then I use a set of cutters and just pull them out. Now you can pull the center pedals out. So let me grab a paper towel real quick. So if you had a bunch of engine debris, you know, from a blown motor, take the time, wash them with brake clean. You know, these were actually pretty clean. I cleaned them already. I'm just wiping off whatever dust is left. There we go. Nice and clean. So now, put the new pedals in. You gotta do the inner pedals first, of course. So all I do is I take the screwdriver and just make sure that they're sitting in, which they are. And take the wedge, so the wider part of the wedge goes up. So I'll put my finger, get these set. Come on. Never knows how hard it was to hold at an angle and keep them in place. There we go. I can hold it like that. Use my belly. At least it serves me for something. And then you want to feel it click in those teeth. Come on. So if you see the, let's see if there's a little ridge. I don't know if you can see that. And that's what fits. Let me go to the other side while I'm doing this. Just so, yeah, they're not fully popped in. So you want to make sure not to force these. All right. Come on. Just try to remove them real quick and put them back in. There we go. All right, so that side is sitting perfect now. There we go. Other side is sitting perfect now. So we will set the wedge. There we go. That wedge is started. Let's make sure the other side is sitting right. There we go. Perfect. So both wedges are started. Now just push, and then I'll just use a hard surface to get it to push even. There we go. So now you can see that's flush in. Pedals are nice and closed. Put the outer pedals in. go get them to pop on. Get the other side to pop on. Now, if you see the number and then the number, so both numbers facing up. And there we go. And that cage is rebuilt. So, and as I said, when you bolt this together, it'll hold it in, but you got to be careful because unfortunately when they start to wear, this is really common. So now I had said, you know, I prefer the Vforce 2s than the 3s. So let me show you the main difference. So the Vforce 3s were kind of designed to be like the Kawasaki cage, where the Kawasaki cage bolts on the case. There's a couple benefits. One, you're getting the pedals farther away from the turbulence of the crankshaft. It's a benefit. But by doing that, you're losing crankcase volume. So on some motors that matters, on others it doesn't. This is going on an 1100, you know, we can use a little extra crankcase volume. So giving it up isn't that big of a deal. The other big thing is, so now the stock style cage bolts to the intake manifold, and then the intake manifold bolts to the cases. So it sits like this. So the seal for the reed cage is sealed to the manifold, and then the manifold seals to this. So it's very hard to get a leak, which is a nice thing. The downside to these are, this is how they seal. So they seal to the outside, but if you pay attention, here, watch, let me show you. I'm just going to lightly scribe a line. So if you notice, there's the gasket they send you is really small. So depending on the way that this is sitting, like this or like this, you could end up with very little sealing surface right in this point, right on this little lip. So you can end up with an intake leak right here. It's really, really common with these. So if you're going to run these, what I recommend you do is fill this with JB Weld and sand it smooth so you have extra sealing surface, or put a little case sealant right in this area so that way they don't leak. So same on the other side. But that's a little tip for these. Hopefully you guys like the video. Once again, please like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about us. I appreciate it. You guys have a good day.